Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to discuss about the universal bank. So actually universal bank is a bank that combines the three services of banking in under one roof. That is first is retail banking, investment banking and wholesale banking. So it encompasses the three services and simultaneously provides so that's why it's not that much of easy to provide the three services at a time, so that's why it's a universal bank. And normally it's a biggest bank, you can say. uh, and there is totally 20 banks in all over the world. And I can give the example of so many bank like this. And universal banks actually a type of banks who also provide services of investment. Okay, so that's why I give you the first example of the banks who comes under the universal bank. There is first you can say Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, and there is Paribas and Citigroup, uh, and UBS, Credit, HSBC. Like this, all kind of banks are like comes under the universal bank. So let's move further and discuss about the features of these banks and what are the criteria are needed to acquire for this kind of bank and what are the services provided. Let know. And universal bank also involved in insurance, for giving insurance. So let's discuss about the retail banking first. Retail banking provides services to very low and medium size businesses, and is focuses mainly focuses to giving the loan and mortgage. And retail banking services provisions under the current and saving accounts, overdraft, uh, personal loans, and mortgage. It also provisions under the travelers, then loans, and debit and credit cards, and bank overdraft, uh, and you can say that is the fixed deposits and certificate of deposits. That's actually the retail banking services is a very um, provided services to very low scales industries. And it's, if you compare to the investment banking, wholesale banking, it's a very large scale. Wholesale banking provides services to very large scale industries, like pension funds, and some industries, government institutions. uh, uh, if I give some examples of wholesale banking, uh, provides very wide services, borrowing and lending money to the customers in a very huge amount. And the industry retail banking provides services to low skill industries. I give you some examples of the investment banking. That is wholesale banking. Wholesale banking, if I give the example, he provides services to big industries like Microsoft and Apple. If I give some examples, in both companies, uh, workers, uh, company give salaries to the employees in a very huge scale. Okay, but the people's provident fund, either insurance fund, or companies are deposited direct to this investment bank. Okay, because of it's a very huge fund, wholesale banking, so that's why it's wholesale banking. Companies are invested the fund to this wholesale banking because it's keep only in high scale. Okay, then move to the investment banking. Investment banking is provide services like lending, not lending and borrowing. He just invest money to get the profit. Okay, he took money from somewhere else. Either if an industry invested money in the investment banking invest the money to, like the asset management, if you say. Okay, if company give money to investment bank and say to invest my money to somewhere else and get me the profit. Okay, so that's why in that this purpose only the investment banks work. You can say the large merger and acquisitions of banks also it comes under the investment bank. Actually government have that much of power to merge and acquisition of the companies. So it's a very, you can say, difficult term for the banks uh, to merge with some other bank. Okay, if I give you some examples of SBI, either Bank of India or Bank of Baroda. Okay, if government wants, he merge the bank because now the time all the industries are going to be privatized. So that's why if government want, wish, then he will
Can.
merge the banks. So it's not a very easy matter, but for the companies it's a very, you can say, very diplomatic things because both of banks maintain a very different kind of balance sheet and different kind of circulations. So it's not that much easy for the bank to merge. Okay, but it comes under the what the investment banking. Okay, investment banking give provide services to the only for the investment purpose or asset management and merger and acquisitions. So I hope your doubt is clear. Then actually here what happened to the wholesale banking? In wholesale banking, if I give some examples of a very big industry like the Apple and Microsoft, for that kind of industry there is also some pension fund of the staffs. Okay, whatever the salary provided to the employee, um, he actually the company made some different funds. Okay, that is pension fund. He just giving money to this fund. Actually, the wholesale banking is comes under only this kind of category who have very huge amount to keep. Okay, so basically wholesale banking uses for these purposes. But if I talk about the retail banking, it's under the very small scale employees. Okay, in daily to daily regulations, you can say for the small scale industries, small businessmen, they're using the retail banking, and wholesale for huge company, and for the big companies they are using that kind of services. Okay, that is called wholesale banking. So let's discuss about the RBI guidelines for the banking license. If you want the license of bank, then RBI open a on-tap licensing window, and it's open entire the year. You can go and bring anytime that license, but there is some criteria to follow, and individual have some capabilities to take the license of banking sector. Okay, and that banking sector, the eligibility person have minimum 10 years of experience and working in a senior level in any banking or finance sector, and he must resident of India, and paid of voting equity capital, he has need to be 500 billion US dollar. Okay, he need to be invested at least 500 billion US dollar. It approximately 500 crore rupees. He needed that equity capital. Then after he is eligible for the banking license. Okay. Then the second method is non-operative financial holding company. If a person also that institution's non-operative financial holding company, then also he is eligible for the banking license. It was mandatory initially when a person eligible for the banking license, because they have the huge credit operations operated into the market. So that's why it's helped to the bank to operate the services. Okay, so that's why bank give the license. He that person who is a shareholder of that non-operative financial holding company, bank give the license to that person. But now it's not that much mandatory, but there is such criteria, like if the financial institution, that person have a majority of the stakeholders, at least 51% of that stake of that institution, then he is eligible for that banking license. Then now, the requirement of non-operative financial holding company (NOFSC) is not mandatory for individual promoters or standalones promoting converting entities who do not have other group entities. Not less than 51% of the total paid of equity capital of the non-operating financial holding company shall be owned by the promoter or promoter group. No shareholder other than the promoters group shall have significant influence and control in the non-operating financial holding company. The bank shall get its shares listed on the stock exchange within 6 years of the commitment commencement of business by the bank. Then the bank has to be open at least 25% of its branches in unbanked rural centers. The bank shall company with the priority sector lending target and sub target as applicable to the existing domestic scheduled commercial banks. The board of the bank should have a majority of independent directors. The validity of the in principle approvals issued by the Reserve Bank of India will be 18 months from the date of granting in principle approval, and would thereafter lapse automatically. So I hope your doubt is clear and you understand clearly. The rest, I can say, the bank has to open at least 25% of its branches in unbanked rural centers. It means the bank mandate to follow the guidelines. He need to open other branches like the cooperative branches for that branches in rural areas or urban rural areas. He need to invest the 25%, and the board of the bank should have a majority of independent directors. It's also mandatory, and the validity it also in principal approval issue by the Reserve Bank of India will be 18 months, and if it is exceed the 18 months, it's rejected automatically. Thank you.